All right, so on the previous episode, uh, that I've been talking about, through the first 3 days of the show, we talked about Monday, the Ravens with a heartbreaking loss to the Steelers to miss the postseason with an 8-9 record. And we talk college football playoff. Also, we talk about firing of John Harbaugh and all that kind of stuff right now. We also talk about who we talk about preview NBA games. So let's see what's coming up. What's coming up next? And happy Thursday. Today is January 8th, 2026. And this is your boy, JDB. Hope you have a good rest of your morning. It is close to in the morning, but if you're in the East Coast, it's close to noon, right? In the West Coast, it's close to 9 in the morning. So hopefully I couldn't ask for a better start of my day. So today I'm going to talk about a handful of topics. We have multiple breaking news, one from yesterday and one this morning that I didn't get to mention. So we'll talk one of these two a little bit later. So let's start this one, shall we? Breaking news yesterday, according to NBA insider Shams Charania, that the Wizards have officially acquired Trae Young, exchanging for Cory Kispert and C.J. McCollum. Both Kispert and McCollum are heading to Atlanta. The Hawks played the Pacers. Actually, the Hawks played the Pelicans last night, and the Hawks beat the Pelicans 117 to 100 in State Farm Arena. Trae Young did not play because he is traded to Washington Wizards. So we talk about record with Trae Young and without Trae Young this season. So the difference between 2-8 with Trae Young and 13-10 without him. So that is a shocking stat that I saw. So I'm gonna ask this question: is this the right move to move on of Trae Young? Yes, I think it's time. I think it's best of time to move on because all these years they've been in the playoffs. Sometimes, mostly, they've not been in the playoffs. But when the Hawks are in the playoffs, Trae Young comes through through Trae Young comes through in big time games when the game is close, including 2021. They got a deep playoff run, try to get path to the NBA Finals. But since then, the trust just hasn't been there. Their trust of the Hawks, their trusted relationship for Trae Young, for this franchise, just has not been there. The Mavericks draft Trae Young. The Hawks drafted Luka Doncic before the trade came out. So that deal would have made sense anyway. He wanted to be a Hawk, not a Maverick. Even though he played from Oklahoma, he wanted to play like closer to home, but he wants to play. He really wants to play Atlanta, but at this point, he wants to leave Atlanta in his own solution, and he's happy to leaving Atlanta for Washington. Wizards. Wizards had the second best record in the Eastern Conference with a 10-26 record. That's not going to help its cause. But the only bright spot for the Wizards this season is Alex Sarr. He's been a star for this team this year. So, I mean, it felt like the Atlanta Hawks. I think the Hawks are better. I think the Hawks team will be progressively better without Trae Young. Every time they play without Trae Young, they win games. They compete. They beat some good teams as well. Don't get me wrong. They beat some good teams as well. So, I mean, they beat the Knicks. I mean, what else that can go right with the Atlanta Hawks? This was the right move. Moving on from Trae Young, he leaves Atlanta for Washington Wizards. This isn't a surprise. This isn't a surprise at all. Well, some of you are shocked, but it really doesn't hurt every single time when your team. Let's say I'm just saying the Hawks are going to miss the playoffs. They're going to miss the playoffs despite the move. They'll be better. They'll make the play-in, but they're not going to the playoffs. It could happen next year, though, if they can add more guys this next off season. So it could affect their cap space, oddly enough. So let's see how this Hawks team could pen this one out. As of that, because it really felt like those teams they can put themselves in a really, really wrong position. You say, hey, you really want everybody to see this. You really want anyone to see this, but that's nothing you can have trouble for. You really. That's what happens when you have Trae Young. You would have put your teams on your backs. That would have been the best case scenario, but it felt like there's a latitude between teammates and coaches. But I gotta ask this question. Do you think Trae Young era has gotten better or has gotten worse? Or do you think his career has been wasted? Technically, I'm not saying Trae Young's career has been wasted. I would say the career just he hasn't been healthy for quite a long time. So this team just never helped. They never helped his own cause. So it's a serious. You put yourself in a really serious situation where you don't have enough firepower to win with it. So, about last night, when I saw that game, it seemed to be a difference, which you're gonna asking for it, but it's so. I'm saying that these guys could really make sure how many teams you like to contend. Trae Young is not going to contending team. Trae Young is trying to go to Wizards, try to make this basketball team better for the rest of the year. If they can do that, then there could be some carryover for 2026-27 season. Wizards will be better next year. I mean, if you're a Washington sports fan, it is really hard to watch. We know Commanders, Jane Daniels, have been going through a bunch of injuries this year, a reigning offensive rookie of the year 2024. So you already made yourself useful. So it's not going to help. It's not going to help their cause about that.
We love it for the Hawks because Jalen Johnson is a young superstar in the making. He's almost averaging a 20-point triple-double on the season. For Trae Young, he get a fresh start, and he goes to a situation where he's going to continue to put up numbers. He's going to continue to, he's going to put butts in seats because he's exciting to watch. I don't know too much about competing for a championship, but he damn sure go get his lettuce over there.
Well, Kendrick Perkins says... Kendrick Perkins says he wants to compete for the championship. I mean, you're partially right about competing for championship, but this is not the team that you're looking for. I understand. I want to Trae Young want to destinate somewhere else, but let's face it. You think about what's the cap space of the Atlanta Hawks will look like in 2026. Do you think the Hawks cap space expect to be different in 2026 offseason? If the Hawks do intend to miss the playoffs, if they fail to win any of these play-in games, then you might as well get a new coach. I mean, I like Quinn Snyder, but I think it's time to move on. I think Quinn Snyder should be fired for I don't know how to say that. Antimachi reasons. So we'll see how this plays out for the Atlanta Hawks and the Wizards for the rest of the year. All right, so let's move forward. Here we have another breaking news in the NFL.
We got breaking news on the NFL where the Miami Dolphins have fired their head Mike McDaniel.
The Miami Dolphins have dismissed Mike McDaniel after 4 seasons. in 2000. He was hired in 2022 as Dolphins head coach. He made the playoffs in the first 2 seasons. In 2022, he went 9-8, lost the AFC walk-around to the Buffalo Bills. Then the next year, Dolphins went 11-6, tied for first place in the AFC East. Bills took the tiebreaker away from the Dolphins because of a head-to-head sweep. Dolphins lost the AFC walk-around to the Kansas City Chiefs. And then 2024-25 season, he went 8-9, missed the playoffs. Then the next year, 25-26, 7-10, also missed the playoffs. So 4 seasons for Mike McDaniel. So what went wrong for the for Mike McDaniel's Dolphins? His coaching career record through 4 seasons, including the playoffs. 9 + 8 equals. Oh man, 9 + 8 equals 17. + 8 equals 25. 25 + 7. Actually, 9 + 11 equals 20. 35-35, including playoffs. Mike McDaniel is 35. Mike McDaniel finished 35-35 between regular season and postseason. 35-33 in the regular season, 0-2 in the playoffs. That's a good record. But Mike McDaniel is a 10 to beat bad teams. Or some, maybe decent, maybe average to bad teams. But they struggled. Mike McDaniel is terrible against greater than 500 teams. Mike McDaniel becomes the first head coach in NFL history to have the worst record against better than 500 teams at the minimum of 20 games. This is unbelievable. Tua Tagovailoa is going to leave Miami. Mike McDaniel has already been fired. Tyreek Hill could leave Miami as well. Quinn Ewers could be a Week 1 starter in 2026. So I'm going to ask this question. Will the Dolphins be the worst team in the NFL? The answer is yes, one of the worst, not the worst. They will be one of the worst teams in the NFL. Because if Quinn Ewers actually plays well and finds some ways to win, then I can make an impression on him. So I can make an impression about the Miami Dolphins, about Quinn Ewers. Firing of Mike McDaniel is going to prove your team costly. It's going to prove your team costly. So let's take a look what happened earlier today.
I don't have any problem with this decision. Mike McDaniel, and RC and Dan and others have said, and they've reminded us of how knowledgeable Mike McDaniel is as an offensive mind, as a football mind, and I get that part. But I've been on this show talking about the head coach needing to be a leader of men. And I don't view that as Mike McDaniel. I view him as a brilliant offensive mind that can be innovative in his own way and can make things happen for you. But when you have to be a leader of men in the National Football League, you got a 53-man roster. There's things you got to be able to peel out of brothers. He's 35 and 33 in 4 seasons, okay? Yes, he's been hampered by a quarterback that, you blow in his direction, he might catch a concussion. It's a problem when it comes to Tua Tagovailoa. It just is. It just is. I'm not knocking him for it.
Hold on. So here's the thing about concussion. Here's the thing about a concussion, about Tua Tagovailoa. The reason why I don't trust Tua Tagovailoa in this franchise is because of his health. The problem right now is health. He has not been healthy throughout the years. Throughout the years, he's been suffered concussion protocols since he became a starter. When healthy, he plays well. When not, he's not. Tua is having a disappointing 2025-26 season. He's top 2. He's top 5 in interceptions allowed. Geno Smith actually led the league in interceptions with the Raiders. So, who's to blame for this Dolphins mess this season? I could say both Tua Tagovailoa and Mike McDaniel is the most blame for this year's struggles. It affects their defense a lot. It's gonna affect their defense a lot. That really shocks to me. There's nothing you can prove it. I mean, there is nothing you would have to prove to earn their trust. And this Dolphins team, just really, clearly not in sync. Unfortunately, these Dolphins team is going through it. Dolphins team is going through it right now. All right, so we're gonna take our first break. What's coming up next? College football playoff. We'll talk Spurs Lakers. We'll talk Nuggets Celtics. What happened last night? And we'll talk about the Cowboys, and then we'll talk more NFL playoffs. It's all coming up in 3 to 5 minutes. All right, welcome back here. Happy Thursday. Tonight, semifinals officially starts today. We have Vrbo Fiesta Bowl. I don't know how much I'm really excited about that. So I would have think this. There's so many teams who could be in the college football playoff. So tonight we got Ole Miss, 6-seeded, taking on a 10-seeded Miami in Vrbo Fiesta Bowl in Glendale, Arizona. We got Carson Beck of the Miami Hurricanes take on Trae Young. Let's just see this. So, who I get the pick tonight? Well, I'll say my picks in a minute. I'll get my picks in a minute. But let's take a look at the tape. We'll get to the tape in a second. So, we talk about Miami Hurricanes. How Carson Beck doing through the first 2 college football playoff games. So far, not too bad. He's not put up big numbers, but the defense has swarmed him so far through the first 2 playoff games. Make no mistake about it. Miami's defense has suffocated with a high-leveled offense. They held Texas A&M intact. They held Texas A&M in check, and they also made Ohio State in check. Those are the games you're not gonna rely on. But those questions are as simple as you're gonna ask. Maybe you're gonna put yourself in a really, really prime position to go to the national championship game. You have so many guys like Mario Cristobal. Deserves a lot of credit. With these guys had experience. Maybe for the years in Miami, they've been going through some big time growing pains. But the Hurricanes will be Hurricanes. Let's take a look at what's in store in Ole Miss path for their first national championship appearance in the college football playoff era. You think about Ole Miss, you don't have Lane Kiffin, but Ole Miss is 2-0 since leaving of Lane Kiffin to LSU. Both have been in the college football playoff games. They beat Tulane. They had an impressive upset win over Georgia in the All-State Sugar Bowl. Trenon Chamberlain was unbelievable in the fourth quarter. He did finish 362 yards in the game and 2 touchdowns. Kawan Lacey, the cousin of the late Kyron Lacey, he had a phenomenal game after he fumbled earlier in that game last week. And then the big kick for Ole Miss that helps Ole Miss to get to the semifinals. And now they're one big step closer to the national championship game. I know Ole Miss's offense is unbelievable. If defense wants to play well tonight, if they want to get after Carson Beck has not put up eye-popping numbers so far this postseason, but he's finding ways to win. They commit to run the football and has been effective so far through the first 2 college football playoff games, and their defense is playing spectacular. So I'm going to ask this question. Who do you think I should pick to win this game tonight in a Vrbo Fiesta Bowl? Miami Hurricanes or Ole Miss Rebels? Who I trust the most? I'm going to go with Miami Hurricanes. I think Miami Hurricanes will win this game because defense will travel time and time again. Offensively, I think they'll come through in a clutch when your offense is not playing well so far in this postseason. Even though you could be trailing in the fourth quarter, you need to score the final 2 drives. You get multiple defensive timely stops. Then you put yourself in a position to win a football game. I like Miami taking this game tonight. I think the defense will be great. I think it's going to be defensive struggle tonight, honestly. It's going to be a low-scoring football game. If they want to get after Trenon Chamberlain, that would be the best-case scenario. And that will be the best step for them. All right, so let's move on from this. Let's talk Dallas Cowboys. Let's talk about Dallas Cowboys. We talked about that 2 days ago. What's next for George Pickens? What's next for George Pickens after a solid season? Should George Pickens... Do you like George Pickens staying with Dallas? Or should Dallas move on from him? So if I would get the pick, I might to see. I'll let him stay for a while, and then if it doesn't work, then we'll see how that goes. We'll see how that goes here for the rest of the season, rest of this off season. The only thing that I'm really worried about the most is their defense. Their defense has been brutal in 2025-26 season. They struggle to defend against primary receivers or tight ends. Deron Bland, Trevon Diggs weren't healthy. Diggs got released. He left Dallas for Green Bay looking for a contending team. Something like that. They're not generating pass rush. They're missing tackles. They commit penalties. The Dallas Cowboys next year, if they want to make a huge difference, the defense has to play better and big improvements. They got to make some big time improvements on defense. The offense will be fine. Dak Prescott is going to play well. Offensive line is going to play well. At times, if the offensive line gets broke down, then defense will fall apart. Late in the game, when you have the lead, then you're going to blow the fourth quarter lead and you end up losing in a close game. So I think Brian Schottenheimer will try to do something about that next year. Who could be the new defensive coordinator in 2026? Defense has been atrocious throughout the season. There's not a whole lot you can change that for this one, but let's take a look at the record since 2021. Cowboys went 12-5, lost the NFC Walker game to the 49ers. And why? The offense of the Cowboys did not get it off in time because of Dak Prescott's spike. The late spike got him. And then in 2022-23 season, they went 12-5 as well. Lost the divisional round to the San Francisco 49ers. And then in 2023-24 season, also 12-5. That's 3 consecutive 12-5 seasons. This time winning division for the second time in 3 years under Mike McCarthy. They got upset by the Green Bay Packers in the NFC wildcard round. The defense didn't show up at all. And then in 2024, I think they went 7-10. They went 7-10 last in 2024-25 season. Then that got McCarthy fired. And then this year, 7-9-1. Those are the records over the last 5 years. And the consistency just hasn't been there. So they got to clean this stuff up. So when we come back, we're going to talk NBA. We'll talk Nuggets, Celtics, Spurs, Lakers, and also what's next. And I'll preview the Rams and the Panthers. It's coming up in 3 to 5 minutes. We'll be back. All right, welcome back here. The Celtics battled the Nuggets last night, and Peyton Watson, boy, he has been unbelievable over his last 4 or 5 games. Come off another 30 point performance in a 114 to 110 win over the Boston Celtics. Celtics have been hot over that stretch. Celtics faltered into the number 3 seed after the Knicks won yesterday. So the Nuggets improved their 25-12. They're 3-2 without Nikola Jokic so far. So like I said, Watson finished 30 points, 6 rebounds, and 6 made threes. Jamal Murray finished 22 points and 17 assists. Yes. So the Nuggets improved to 25-12. Celtics dipped to 23-13. So I'm going to ask this question about the Denver Nuggets. Do you think this is an impressive win for the Denver Nuggets? Yes. It was a great win for the Nuggets last night. Another impressive win. With no Jokic. The good news is they got Murray back. They got Gordon as well on the court. I mean, like I said a few episodes ago. 2 days ago, you got to have at least Gordon and Murray. Even Jokic is out. And David Adderman pushing the right buttons last night. Jamal Murray be a facilitator, not a shooter, not a scorer. He only scored 22 points. That's not that many. He did have 17 assists. And he only turned the ball over only once. He's been more he's having a terrific year. He hasn't been an all-star or all of his he hasn't had an all-NBA, first team or second team all-NBA. So I'll put him in the all-star conversation as a reserver, and I'll put him in the second team all-NBA. If he's healthy enough, if he gets a 65-game mark, then he'll be just enough to qualify his awards. He needs to be healthy. That's the key. He needs to be healthy. By the time the season comes to an end. But Peyton Watson, this kid, I'm impressed. I'm impressed with Peyton Watson last night. Look at Peyton Watson's numbers over his last 4 games. Let's take a look at his stats over his last 5 games since out of UCLA. His last 5 games, look at this. He had 24 against Toronto. He had 21 against Cleveland. He had 23 against Brooklyn, 24 against Philadelphia. He had 30 against Boston last night. So, over his last 5 games, so if you put up these numbers over your last 5 games, most points he scored over his last 5 games is 30. So Peyton Watson has scored 122 total points over his last 5 games. So he's averaged 24 points a game over his last 5. That's pretty good. And his field goal percentage is around 48%. He's shooting at least 45% from the field over his last 5 games. 3-point shooting about 35% at the maximum. So we talk about Peyton Watson. Rebounds a game, average over around 5 a game. Assists per game around 2.5 a game. Steals a game about still 1.4 steals per game over his last 5. Blocks per game 1.4. So Peyton Watson, this kid's been impressed to me the most. So, and then Jamal Murray, be a facilitator, be a team leader, be a team player. Like I said, he doesn't have to do a lot offensively. He doesn't have to score a lot. All you got to do is take care of the basketball, focus on other things other than scoring. He did it. He had 17 assists last night. He had 17 assists. That's the most he's had in his career. I like Jamal Murray a lot. I know he's been going through it, his health situation, but Jamal Murray I'm impressed with Jamal Murray's performance last night. A 20-point double-double. A 20-point, 15 assists double-double. That is a huge step for the Nuggets. They got to continue to play well without Jokic. If Jokic comes back, then they'll come back between the Nuggets could be the number 3 seed. At San Antonio Spurs, we'll get to that in a second. I believe somebody will have to step up. This one there. As for the Celtics last night, a really tough loss last night. Disappointing. Jaylen Brown did have another 30-point piece, but he did have like 6 turnovers last night. In fact, the Nuggets outscored the Celtics. It was 58-58 at halftime. The Celtics were outscored by the Nuggets 56-52, something like that. 56-52 in favor of the Nuggets in the second half. So, with that Celtics loss, like I said, in wins they dominate. In losses, they have trouble to execute in the fourth quarter. It's gonna affect them in the postseason. So, what they need to do better is to fix their turnover woes. The Celtics are number 1 in fewest turnovers in the NBA this season. Thunder is number 2. So they don't turn the basketball over. So that is going to help its own cause if they want to win basketball games. It was a good basketball game last night. Otherwise, Celtics losing by 4 was understandable. I mean, Jaylen Brown sitting out in the final minutes. The Celtics provide a spark late in the Pritchard, and the Celtics provide a spark late in the game, but it wasn't enough. Like I said, Nuggets made better. They took better care of basketball than the Celtics. That's what happens. All right, so still coming up, we'll talk this Lakers and Spurs, what I saw last night. We'll preview Rams Panthers and Bears Packers. The 4 teams are playing each other on Saturday. So this is going to be a fun one. It's also coming up next. We'll talk some NFL. Who do you think should which team will likely who's going to win? What's next for the Kansas City Chiefs after missing the playoffs? It's coming up in about 3 to 5 minutes. We'll step away.